Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Today, brothers, what I'm going to do is try to actually consolidate on a lot of what we've done already, and I'm going back to chapter 1 just to go through some of the examples that the concepts that we've actually already covered, and then bits that we're a little bit stuck on, we can just go through that analysis. So what I'm going to do is I just really want to just go through it myself slowly, going through it, and you can just observe and watch. And then if there's a bit that you're confused on, then if you can just interrupt or just question. So I'm just going to go through it very slowly, line by line, of all the things that we've covered, okay? And I'll try to explain how I'm working it out, okay? So I'll just put in the... Okay, so if we again looking at the first two lines, remember if there's more than one word, it's going to be murakkab. Okay, murakkab means, so you've got kalima, murakkab. The murakkab are more than one word, either a jumla, which is a complete sentence, or a ghayru mufid, a phrase. So the fact that there's more than one word is going to be either of those two, either a jumla or a ghayru mufid. Okay. And by looking at the words, you can more or less work out what it is. And so for the top line, it's a sentence. The reason we know that is because you have an ism, man. Okay. And we understood that for a jumla to happen, a jumla ismiya, because it is an ism. This is an ism.
So brother, how do you know if man is ism?
Because that's the vocabulary. You need to know the vocabulary to know that. Yeah. So you would need to know that man means who. And who is what we called a pronoun. More accurately, an interrogative pronoun. That's why we know it's an ism. Because we recognize the word. Alright? Then we say, then we said to ourselves, well, how do we know it's where the mubtada and where the khabar are? We said that when you go for you recognize this is an ism, and you go to the next word up. If the next word up does not have a phase relationship, okay, with this word, then that's where the mubtada ends and where the khabar starts. And we've made it really easy in our lessons because out of the 15 phrases, we've covered 3. So it's very easy to pick. Okay, you know these 3. The one is the mawsuf sifa, which is the description, adjective and noun. The other is the mudaf ilay, like Zayd's book, or the book of Zayd. And the other one that we did was the preposition, muta'alliq, like in the house, fil bayti, which starts with a preposition. So clearly, it can't be a muta'alliq, a prepositional phrase, because it has to have a preposition at the beginning. And this is an ism, so you know that one's out already. So you're only dealing with 2. Is a mudaf ilay, and mawsuf sifa. Okay, for a mawsuf sifa, this ism has to be followed by another ism, because an adjective is an ism in Arabic. Yeah, kasra is not an ism. Kasra is a verb. Right. So we don't know of any phase relationship where an ism comes first and then the verb follows. Does not exist in the whole Arabic language. So this is an easy one. Whenever you see a verb after an ism, you know that's where the mubtada has already ended. So the fact that there's a verb must mean the khabar must start here. Okay?
So what's the khabar?
Khabar is, so the mubtada is what introduces the sentence. So the man is the mubtada. Is in the garden. In the garden is the khabar. And khabar literally means informed, describing the mubtada. So the khabar describes the mubtada. So what are we saying about the man? Well, we're saying the man is in the garden. So in the garden is the khabar of the mubtada, which is the man.
What's haraf? Haraf is...
And haraf is something else. Haraf is something else. Okay?
But that is also in the house with the happy house.
Yes, but the khabar is all of it in the house. It doesn't have to be one word. It can be multiple words.
Yeah.
Okay? So khabar can be one word, or it can be many words. Okay? So you can, a single word is the house is big. So the house is mubtada, big is the khabar. So you've got just two words. Al-baytu kabirun. The house is big. Okay? But the khabar can be larger than that. You could say Al-baytu kabirun jiddan. The house is very big. So kabirun jiddan becomes the khabar now, not just the kabirun, because they're both together. Or you could have Al-baytu jamilu. So the beautiful house is very big, khabirun jiddan. So you can get this in. But the reason that you know the two are coming together is because there's a phrase relationship going on. The beautiful house is a mawsuf sifa relationship, and the very big is very big. Very big is a mudaf ilay between the adverb and the adjective. And remember, we said adjectives can modify verbs, but they can also modify adjectives. That was one of our first lessons we said. Okay, so that's how you can see it go. So in this instance, what we have is a mubtada, yeah, and a khabar here. Okay, and so the khabar actually consists of a sentence in itself. Right? Why? Because we have a verbal sentence here. We have a fi'l, and remember with the khasara, if there's no noun after it, and al-asnama is a noun, but it is in the state of nasab, so it is an object. Yeah. So if that's the object, we know that a jumla fi'liya must have a subject. It must have a minimum of a verb and subject. So we have to take the huwa out, extract it out grammatically, all right, to make the fa'il. So this becomes the fa'il, the huwa. Yeah, the kasra, the huwa is inside the verb, yeah, as a conjugate. So we take it out. So we've got the fi'il, the fa'il, and this is then the maf'ul bihi. Right? So the khabar is filled by a jumla fi'liya. It's filled by a complete sentence, the khabar alone. All right? So this is how we work this out. All right? The next line is ba'i'ul asnam. Okay? Now here we have to, again, we're dealing with a murakkab. It can either be a jumla, it could be, or it could be a ghayru mufid. Right? So for it to be a ghayru mufid, a phrase, there must be a relationship going on. The thing that we remembered is that any mubtada or khabar intrinsically is going to be having a tanween or a definite article. Right? The house or a house. Right? And so for the house, al-baytu, a house, baytun. Right? That's how these phrases are started in a mubtada and khabar situation. Here, immediately you can say there is no tanween and there is no al. So that already makes you suspicious that you're dealing with some phrase relation that you know. And the one that you most commonly know is the mudaf ilay, because the mudaf does not have tanween and it doesn't have the definite article. So this is the clue here, just that alone. So you can almost just say, without even looking at the next word, that you're probably dealing with mudaf ilay. You can guess that. And when you go to the second word, you can also say that this is al-asnam. And you know through the meaning it means idol, and idol is an entity of a thing. And an entity of a thing is an ism. So you have two isms here, okay? And the other thing that you can notice is that in this ism, there is a jar, a kasra. And in this ism, the first ism, there is no tanween. So you know that this is a mudaf ilay relationship. And ba'il means seller, so you know that's an ism. Asnam means idols, so this is the seller of idols, or the idol seller. So here, the whole thing becomes a phrase. It's not a jumla, it's a ghayr mufid mudaf ilay phrase, murakkab. Okay? So that's how you go through the second one. Then we go to the third line that we did. And what you see here, this was quite an interesting one because like we said, we always intrinsically, like in English, we always start with the first thing that comes first and then we follow logically. But in Arabic, remember in the very first lesson when we did Zayd hit Amr, we said to you that Zayd doesn't have to come first in Arabic. Zayd can come last. We can say Daraba Amran Zaydun. We can mix it. This first sentence is a classic example of this, where the actual beginning of the sentence is not at the beginning of the word is not actually at the beginning of the sentence. Right? The actual beginning you have to find. And the reason that you know that this cannot be is for a couple of reasons. Its meaning, qabla, which means before, and the fact that it's got a fatha. Yeah? And we know that generally a mubtada, if it's the very first one, there's nothing before it, must be in dhamma. That's the normal rafa position for a mubtada and khabar to be in. At the beginning, a mubtada should be. The fact that it's in fatha suggests to you that this is not quite what we're dealing with. Second of all, the meaning means before. And thirdly, if we look at the isms, we know there are 3 grammatical states they can be in: nasab, rafa, and in jar. And we know that most cases, if it has a fatha, it's in nasab, most cases. And if it's in nasab, we only know the 2 examples we know. One is an object, maf'ul bihi, and the other one is adverbs. All right? And adverbs are there that modify the adjective or other verbs. So this tells you that this is an adverbial something going on. Right? Okay, we'll carry on to know what that is. All right? So this is an adverbial structure. All right? So where does the sentence, and we know that it's got to be, where's the jumla beginning? The thing that you look at is that you carry on down, and in fact, what you can see, if you really worked it through, is that qabla ayyam is actually, there is a relationship going on there. Why you know that? Again, there's a single fatha and a jar. And that's a mudaf ilay relationship. And we know that adverbs have a mudaf ilay relationship with the nouns. Right? So this is connected together. So you can say that this carries on. So this keeps moving along. Does it cut off here or do we carry on? Well, you say ayamin kathiratin. Kathiratin and ayamin, there is a mawsuf sifa relationship going on. Okay? Right? And then you've got kathiratin jiddan. Right? This you could technically say is still a contingent. It's a description of this. It's accentuating the kathir by saying many and very many. So there's an adverb adjective going on here. So the whole thing is related. All right. So you can say that this is what that is. Right. So then you're going to say, well, okay, that's my adverbial structure. It's not a sentence. It's an adverbial structure. Where does the jumla start? Well, the clue that gives it away is the kana. Right? And remember what we said is that yes, we said that for jumla ismiya, there's a mubtada and a khabar. But we also mentioned that there are harfs. Right? Okay. And we mentioned 2 harfs that can come before the sentence. One is the kana and one is the inna. These harfs come before the jumla. All right? There are other harfs like prepositions that come within the sentence, like fi, baitin, in the house, or or ala. And these are all things that connect with isms, yeah? But within the sentence, they don't begin, right? But here, the kana and the inna are 2 that come before the sentence, and they modify the whole structure. All right? So this is where we change it from a mubtada to khabar by saying the ism of kana or the khabar of kana, or the ism of inna or the khabar of inna. All right? So this harf gives us a clue that this is what we're dealing with. So the beginning of the sentence from the kana, and so what we then have to do is find out where is the ism of kana. And the ism of kana is in, we understood, is in rafa, like the mubtada. But the khabar of kana is in nasab, right? So you have to go along, all right, and spot, well, where is the ism of kana? Well, that would be the rajulun. Because why? It's in tanween. And we saw when we said the mubtada is going to be either definite article or indefinite through tanween. So it's not a single dhamma. This is there's two dhammas there. Okay. So, and we know it's got to be ism. It's got to be in rafa, and it's got to be in ism. So rajul is a man. It's an entity. It's in rafa and it's in tanween. All ticking the box for an ism of kana. All right. So this is where it starts. So rajulun. How far does it go? Well, mashhurun is the mawsuf sifa going on here. And then jiddan is actually an adverb that's modifying the adjective. Remember we said that? And this is here. So you've got a mawsuf and a sifa, which you can incorporate the jiddan. Okay? And then within that, there is an adjective adverbial relationship going on there, which we haven't covered that phrase yet. So just accept it. But that's how you would do it. So this is the whole thing, as you can see, is 3 words, which is the ism of kana. Within it, there's a mawsuf sifa relationship. The mawsuf being rajulun, a man. The mashhurun jiddan, very famous, is the sifa. Within the sifa, there is a relation between the adverb and the sifa as well, which we haven't covered yet. Okay? So that tells you that this is the ism of kana. Then we have to say, well, where that's the ism of kana, so what is the khabar of kana? Well, then logically, what are we left with? Fi qaryatin. So then that becomes the khabar of kana. And if we want to be more accurate, what we could say is that this is the ism of kana delayed. Why delayed? Because it's not coming first. You could have had kana rajul mashhurun jiddan fi qaryatin. That's how you would say in English, right? So when you translate it, you don't say was in a town a very famous man. You could, but you could also say there was a very famous man was in a town. Right? Okay. So you have an ism of kana delayed and the khabar of kana. In the khabar of kana, you have a muta'alliq, a preposition fi, which is called jar, and a majroor qaryatin, which is obviously in the state of jar. So jar, majroor, relationship, a muta'alliq. Alright? So that has broken down. Now you can have many ways of translating that. So when we break it down grammatically like this, it doesn't then mean, you can translate it in any way that's suitable in English to match it. But you don't have to follow it like bang, 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 bang. So what the idea is that it helps you to know what is what. Right? So this is the ism of kana, this is the khabar of kana, and this is the adverbial structure. Right? And so you can translate. So you could start here, you could say, before days, very many days before, there was in a town a very famous man. Or you could say a very famous man was in a town a long time ago, a very long time ago. You could do it that way. Okay? And what's interesting here is that this is now we're talking about the method of expression, because it could have been, this could have come first here. It could have been kana rajul mashhurun jiddan fi qaryatin qabla ayyam kathiratin jiddan. It could have been structured that way. The author chose to structure it this way instead. So this is then the elements of balagha when it comes to the Quran. Why is it structured in certain different ways? And you'll get an appreciation as the more you do. Okay. So when we continue, we see the wa, and the wa is a harf. Okay. But this harf is ghayr amil, meaning it does not modify what comes after it. Whereas this harf, this is not harf, this is the fi'l naqis, like in the inna, for example, will modify what comes for it. So it is a amil. Yeah? Okay? So here, again, we go to saying this is a bit more straightforward, meaning that the kana comes first. So it's more, we're used to that. So we know we're doing with a kana jumla. So there, again, we find the ism of kana. So the ism of kana has to be, again, we have to spot the ism, and we have to spot it in rafa, because the ism of kana is in rafa. Okay. Here you have ismu. And then you can think, well, hang on a minute, it's ismu, you know, and we know that ismun is usually the case, there's no al, but maybe there's a phrase relationship going on. And in fact, there is. This whole thing, ismu hadha rajuli, is the phrase. And that is the ism of kana. And azara, which is in nasab, must be the khabar of kana. So so you've got the reverse where 3 words consist of the mubtada and 1 word consists of the khabar. Okay? The one that you asked before, that I told you. The khabar is the one that informs the mubtada. Yeah, the mubtada is what you begin with, and the khabar explains or describes or informs what is. So the man, what about the man? The man is big. So you informed about the man being big, or you describe it. So the khabar is that. Yeah? So in here, you've got so if we were to translate it first, the name of this man was, so the name of this man was what? The khabar informs of what the name of this man was, which was Azar. Yeah?
So we did discuss last time when we were going through that Azara, though it's in nasab, but it's not.
Let's come to let's just get this basic one first, and then we'll come to that point. Yeah. So we've got ism of kana. So you can see there's a phrase relation. We haven't done the haza yet, but if we just take that out for the sake of the phrase relations that we know, so this ismul rajul, name of the man. That's why you've got the singular, and that's why you've got the jar. Okay. So this has to continue till we get to the point where there is no relation. So rajuli and azara, there is no relationship, because there's nothing that we have which has an al and then follows with another phrase called azara, another ism like that. We don't know of any phrase like that, so that's where we can be confident that that's where it breaks. Okay?
How many relationships are there? These are relationships. So how many are exist?
So there are 15 phrase relations, and we've learnt 3. The mudaf, mudaf ilay, the mawsul sifa, and the muta'alliq, which is the jar majur, the prepositional phase. We learnt only. That's why it's going to be quite easy for us to work out. So you can say ar-rajul li azara. So can it be a mawsul sifa? Well, if it's al here, it should be al there. So you've kind of got that because it's a personal noun. So that in itself is intrinsically definite. So that could be connected. But you have a jar and a nasab relationship there. And then with Amar's point, well, you know, but this could never have a jar, so it could technically still be connected. Then you go with the meaning. And saying ar-rajul and azar, there's no connection between them in terms of, you know, meaning-wise. So that's where you'd be bailed out from that. Yeah. So there we go. Coming to the point that, again, a little bit just to elaborate, because we did cover this, is azara. Actually, I'll cover it in the next one because it gives the example. So that's what we did there. And then coming to the next line, a bit more quicker. So here, again, we're dealing with a kana. We don't include the wa because the wa is really, in classical Arabic, it has lots of meanings, but in this situation, in classical Arabic, it's just telling where the sentence begins. So you don't have to literally translate it as and. Okay? It's just saying that this sentence ends. So these full stops are actually not in classical Arabic. There are no full stops, no commas, nothing in classical Arabic, even no tashkil. It just goes line, lines, lines, and lines. The only thing that you know where the line finishes is where the wa is put in. Okay? So that's in classical Arabic. So it has no intrinsic meaning when it comes to translating. It just says this is where the sentence is. That's why we don't include it in the box like that. Okay? So kana, so it's a fi'l naqis, as we said. It's a modifying verb for the sentence. So then we have to deal with an ism of kana and a khabar of kana. Again, we've got azaru. So here you got azaru, so that's the ism, and that would fit it from a dhamma point of view, so it's in rafa, and then you have to see whether it carries on. But here yabiu, you would know through knowledge of the language that yabiu is a verb. Why would you know that? Because there's few things that will help you to recognize it. Is the ya, that means it's probably a mudari fi'l, a verb, which is present tense, because remember with mudari verbs, we have yaf'alu, taf'alu, af'alu, and naf'alu, and this is a ya. So that would be highly suspicious that this is actually a verb, a present tense verb, a mudari, and also with the single dhamma there at the end, because that's how the present tense works. Yaf'alu, taf'alu, af'alu, naf'alu. Okay, so these two things give you the, and then it's the intrinsic meaning. With ba, ya, and ha would make you think that this is about somebody selling. Okay, so you'll get a better idea with knowledge as you go through and familiarize it. So all that together tells you that this actually must be a verb, and we know this is really easy because then if a verb follows an ism, that means that's where the break must happen, and then the yabi'u must start again and carry on, right? So azar becomes the ism of kana, and yabi'ul al-asnama becomes the khabar of kana, right? Within there, like we do, is that a jumla fi'liya must have a fa'il. So we take out the huwa because al-asnama cannot be the fa'il because it's in the state of nasab. So here we take out the huwa, alright? So that becomes the fa'il, the fi'l we know here, and this is the maf'ul bihi, al-asnama. Alright? Moving on. Again, kana. Then we need the ism of kana. Is it fi hadhihi al-qaryati baytun? Aha, baytun is in state of rafa. It's got tanween, fits all the hallmarks. So likelihood that this is going to be the beginning of the ism. How far does it go? Well, let's look at the phrase relationship. Baytun kabirun looks like a mawsuf sifa relationship going on here. Does kabirun match with jiddan? Yes, because jiddan is an adverb meaning very, and khabirun is an adjective ism. So there is obviously a relationship there. So what that means is that the whole three must then be the ism of kana, because there's the phrase relationship goes all the way to the end. Baytun, kabirun, jiddan. Therefore, what is left is then going to be the khabar of kana. Right? And if we go into the khabar of kana, we can see that there is a fi, which is a preposition. So that tells you it's a muta'alliq. So there must be a jar majrur relation. It's got to be. Has to be. It cannot be without. It's got to be. So there must be an ism that comes after it. So this is the fi. Okay. And hadhihi al-qaryati is actually the majrur. Okay. And we haven't gone through this yet, but hadhihi al-qaryati is a relationship there. So here's the jar and the majrur in the muta'alliq. Here we have the mawsuf and the sifa. And the sifa also breaks down into the ism and adverb, the adjective adverb, which we haven't covered yet. Okay? So that's how you break it down.
So that is not, we can't say kabir and jiddan could be masuf sifa as well, no.
Say that again, Amma, please.
No, kabir and jiddan
Yeah?
cannot have masuf sifa because we haven't covered, I understand the relationship, but
No.
can it be called no?
No. Let's not go there yet until. But it's a different relationship between adverb and adjective. And that's a bit more technical, and we'll come to when we do cover adverbs completely. Yeah.
You have to go down, Doctor.
I'm going down. What?
The other way. The other way.
I'm moving it. It's taking time to come. Oh, I know what's happened.
Yes,
yeah, I have to rub it off. That was what I needed to do. I was thinking, why is it looking strange? Okay, so again, we'll just quickly go. So kana, we have to look at the ism of kana, and nasu. It's definite article, so it deserves a single dhamma. So that would be right for a mubtada or an ism of kana. Does it carry on? You got yasjuduna. Yasjuduna, hint is it's going to be mudari because it's got a ya. Una, think of yaf'aluna. That tells you that it's a they. And then the sajada would also give it away that this is a verb. So that whole thing becomes a verbal sentence. So you know that must be the ism of kana, and the khabar of kana is actually a verbal sentence, a jumla fi'liya that goes all the way across because there's a phase relationships between all of them. And then yasjuduna. Now here, where is the fa'il? Yes. This wa is the fa'il. So it does not need, there's no noun after, it cannot be. And that becomes the fa'il. So yasjudu is the fi'l, the verb. The fa'il is wa. And then lihadil asnam becomes the maf'ul bihi. So the whole of that lihadil asnam is in the state of nasab. Alright? So, and that's why you've got a jar or a kasra where you expect it to be a fatha if it was directly the object. But because it's the phase relation, because it's a murakkab, it has to worry about itself internally to what's it relating to. And the reason it's a jar, can anyone work out why it's in jar? Because of the li. The li. So what you're dealing with, the maf'ul bihi is a muta'alliq phrase, a jar majroor relationship. The jar being the li, and hadhihi al-asnam being the majroor. Alright? And hadha and al-asnam have a relationship as well, which we haven't covered. Yeah? So that's how we do it.
So can I ask,
Yes.
like with kana,
Yes.
ism of kana, is there any situation where you can have ism, khabar, ism? No.
It would be a separate sentence.
It would be such.
It would be a separate sentence, that's right. Yeah, you cannot. Okay. Now, in the second page, you guys are going to do it. Now it's your turn. So I'll give you enough examples. And in fact, it's going to be... and I'm going to start with Zubair, because I can see Zubair is flagging. And he needs a bit of stimulus. So the stimulus is going to be this sentence, inshallah. And you're going to tell me what kind of sentence I'm doing with Zubair. Bye. So starting from the top, can you tell me what sort of sentence we're dealing with? So this is Kana azur yasjudu li hadhil asnam. So other, I'll just translate, other was prostrating to these idols. That's what it's basically mean.
So again, Rakana is Fi'l Naqis,
Fi'l naqis, yes.
and Azaru is
No, let Azur
Azar is ism, and then Yasjud.
So, hold on. Azur, so say that again. Azur is what?
Azar is ism.
No. I know what you do. I know what you mean, but you've got to say it properly. It's not an ism. Remember, we have mubtada, we have khabar. A mubtada so happens to be an ism or a phrase relationship. So it's not just an ism. It's more than that. What is it? No. It's an ism of. You've got to say ism of kana. If it's an ism, these are all isms. By themselves, these words, so azar and lihada, hadihi and asnam, they're all isms. Yeah? But what you're saying is that this is the ism of kana, which is, if it wasn't the kana, it would be the mubtada. So if there's no kana, then this is the mubtada. But because of the kana, it's the fi'l naqis, we say ism of kana. Okay, yeah?
And those three are the khabar of.
So what say it to me? What is it? What's the khabar of?
Yasjudu li hadhil asnam.
Okay. And now my question to you is why is so okay, yeah, okay, so carry on then. So break down the khabar of kana for me, please.
So
100% correct so far.
Yasjudu is Yesterday is a fail.
Yes. Correct.
And لهذه الأصنام li again is
So when we break it down and we're dealing with a jumla fi'liya, remember the pattern you have to head is the fi'l followed by the fa'il, because they're the two minimum requirements for a jumla fi'liya, and then you can talk about other things after that. So you recognize the fi'l. So the next thing you must step to is recognize where's the subject. The fa'il has to have a subject. There's got to be a fa'il somewhere. Where's the fa'il? So let me help you. So remember what we said with the verbs, yeah? The verbs are conjugations, right? So remember we did the fa'ala, he did, fa'alu, they did, yaf'alu, he's doing, yaf'aluna. So there's never a verb by itself. There's always within it. So we have to then, if we say yasjudu, and there is no fa'il after it, which we can recognize, we have to take the fa'il out of the yasjudu. And yasjudu is third person, isn't it? So you take out the huwa, make that the fa'il. Yeah? So here's your fi'l, there's your fa'il. What's the next bit? What about this lihadhihi al-asnam? What is that?
maf'ul bihi.
Correct. So this is the maf'ul bihi. And then within the maf'ul bihi, how would you break this one down? لِهَذِهِ الْأَسْنَانِ. So you've got how many words in لِهَذِهِ الْأَسْنَانِ? 3. So we have to break them down into their individual components. You've got 3 words, correct. So how would you divide this? So that would be the, what in Arabic we would call this? The li is the... What is li? What does it mean? So li is a jar, a preposition. Yeah, so it's a preposition. And remember, these are the parts. So it's part. So a preposition is like a harf, an example of harf. So li is and harf means particle, small word. You know, doesn't have any meaning in itself. Has meaning associated with other words together. So li to doesn't have a meaning. What does it mean? Unless you say go to or to the bank, then it has a meaning of to. But to on its own means nothing. Yeah, its relation is with words that surround it. So this is a jar. So what should follow a jar? Majrur. And where is the majrur? How far? It's hadil asnam. Okay, that's the majrur. Because hada and al-asnam actually have a phrase relation, which you haven't covered yet. So that's why I helped you out there. Okay, and so that would explain that why asnam is in the state of very good, because of the jar that follows it. Very good, mashallah, barakallah fikum, well done. It's hard, so well done for doing it. You did really, really well. This is tough.
It wouldn't be tough if we study regularly, but because
No, but Zubair Bhai, you did, that is tough. You did really well. And because Ali is sniggering some mine, he's next. He's like so Ali Bhai, this is your jumla now. Zubair Bhai is off the hook, he proved it. Now it's your turn. You can go back to sleep. So Ali Bhai, what are we dealing with now? So see if you were paying attention. So this one here, tell me, what are we dealing with? What kind of sentence? وَكَانَ أَزْرُ يَعْبُدُ هَذِهِ الْأَصْنَامِ. And now, so Azar means Azar was, would worship these idols. That's what it basically means. Azar would worship these idols.
Just a complete sentence, right?
Use the terminology that we've been doing throughout this half an hour, repeatedly like a parrot, or I have. So my turn to get my own. No, don't look at no, don't you looking there, because we talked about it. So that I've made it easier. You didn't have to read; you just had to listen. So what is this? So I'm having a bit of fun, don't worry. So look, yes, Abdurrahman.
Just try. Sorry.
He's taken over. No, don't let him off. No. You're coming next. You'll come to this one. So I want Ali. No, hold on, Abdurrahman, you're going to be this one. This is his. I want Ali, because if he sweats and struggles, he'll remember for next time, inshallah. So it's just a methodology. Don't take it personally. So this one is a kana. And we said kana, yeah. So this is, the kana is the beginning, yeah? The fi'l naqis. We told you kana and inna come before the jumla ismiya. Alright, so this is the kana. So if there's a kana, there's got to be what other two parts? What are the terms we call them? Kana plus the second part would be called the... No, ism of kana, which is in the state of... Good. And then the third part would be called khabar of, which is in the state of good, mashallah, barakallah feekum. Okay, so now that you know that, where would be the ism of kana? Now that you've said that, so where you got the kana, tell me where the ism of kana is in this sentence. Now, why ya'budu?
Because this is, it has this, what's it called? Dhamma and
This has the dhamma. Why are you choosing this one and not this one? What's your reason? Why are you jumping to this one? Why are you like ya'budu and not azar? What's wrong with azar? Why the azar's got dhamma as well. So why are you choosing the second, not the first? No, but why? What was you think? Why did you skip this and go to this one? What was you thinking?
because it has, I think.
Okay. What is azar? What is azar? What does it mean?
Name.
It's a name. And what is a name in Arabic? What type of kalima are we talking about? If it's a name of a person,
Ism.
it's an ism. And what is an ism of kana? It's basically a ism. So we could say that azar is probably a candidate for that. All right. So we could say azar is the ism of kana, right? Ya'budu is a good guess. But the thing is with ya'budu, you could say, yeah, you're right, that it's got a dhamma, so maybe it's also a ism. However, remember what we said is that, and this is where you need to have a bit of knowledge of ya'budu and its meaning. So ya'budu, we know it means worship, and worship is a verb. And the thing is, you can say that it's a present tense versus a mudari because it's got a ya. Remember, present tense could be ya. What else can it be? Yaf'alu, taf'alu, and af'alu, naf'alu. Right? So this is ya'budu. Alright? So this tells you that this is probably a present tense and it's got a dhamma on it as well. And alright? So that in mind, so where does the ism of kana end?
It's ended.
Where? That's it, yeah. Correct, 100% correct. Full marks. Where does the khabar of kana begin and where does it end?
Ya'budu hazihi asnam.
Correct. 10 out of 10. MashaAllah. Expert. Within ya'budu hadhil asnam, what are we dealing with here? What kind of murakkab are we dealing with here? Ya'budu hadhihi al-asnam. Remember, murakkab means more than one word. So what kind of murakkab can it be? There's how many choices do we have? Whenever you think of so you've got like it's 3 words,
Yeah.
right? So what kind of murakkab have we got? I'm helping here.
Yeah.
A jumla, a sentence, or a phrase.
Okay.
Yeah?
Jumla
Simple.
and-
Just 2 things. So is this a jumla or is this a phrase?
How do you know that?
Remember what we said? And this is a lesson for everybody, inshallah.
Yeah.
I'll do this every week. I'll go through the examples for the first, and then you pay it, and you'll get it up. Because remember what I said at the beginning. I said that if it's a verb starts first, it's going to be a jumla fi'liya. You can never have a phrase with a verb. It's got to be a jumla. It's got to be. There's no other choice. So the ya'budu gives it away to you that you must be dealing with a jumla and a jumla fi'liya. So if that's the case, this is a jumla fi'liya automatically. So what's my next question is how are you going to break this jumla fi'liya down, which is in what? Where is this jumla fi'liya fitting into this blue box? What's this blue box called?
Khabar?
Yes. No, not just khabar. What exactly? Khabar of?
Khabar of kana.
Khabar of kana. Okay. What is this called again? This blue box?
Jumla the failure.
No. This blue box, as Zubair Bhai, who is completely awake now, mashallah, after being, he's totally 100% confident. What is this?
Khabar of kana. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ali Bhai, what is this big blue box representing? Again?
A jumla.
Khabar of kana.
Khabar of kana, but this is whole.
What is this blue box? I want you to say it without having...
Khabar of kana.
You sure? Khabar of kana.
Khabar of-
What is this?
This is kana.
Yes. What is this?
Ism of kana.
What is this?
This is khabar of kana.
MashaAllah, 10 out of 10. Okay, within the khabar of kana, what kind of sentence are we dealing with here?
So it's a complete sentence.
Correct, 10 out of 10.
File it.
It's what kind of sentence? A jumla?
Jumla failure.
MashaAllah, barakallah feekum, fantastic. You're right, 10 out of 10. All right, now with the jumla fi'liya, can you break this jumla fi'liya down for me, please? So what is what in this jumla fi'liya? What are the rules that you have to have with jumla fi'liya? What are the minimum things you need in it?
Yeah, this is. No, I know, but
What is a jumla fi'liya?
I have to go.
What is it? What's it in English? What does it mean? It means what in English? Jumla fi'liya.
Verbal sentence, yeah.
All right. So so obviously in a verbal sentence you must have what at least you must have in there.
A verb.
Correct. 10 out of 10. Aliba, you're flying now. This is flying now. You're flapping your wings. Alhamdulillah. So it must have a verb. Where's the verb?
Iraabul.
Correct. Again, 10 out of 10. So it has a verb. What else must it have in the jumla fi'liya? If it has a verb, what else do we know in a verb sentence should have? A verb plus
A subject.
a subject. Masha, what's the Arabic for subject?
A subject is
So you have the fi'l, which is the verb,
Yeah.
and then for the subject, it's called the fa'il. Say it again.
Fine.
Fa'il.
Yeah.
What is the subject? What's it called in Arabic?
Fine.
Fa'il.
Fine.
What's the verb called?
The verb is correct.
What is the verb called? Fi'l.
Fi'l.
What's the subject called?
Fine.
What's the verb called?
Fi'l.
What's the subject called?
Fine.
MashaAllah, 10 out of 10. Where's the fa'il in here? So you've recognized the verb?
Asnama.
Okay, so why would asnama be the fa'il? Explain that to me. Why you think?
It's mainly with the meaning.
So tell me what the meaning is then, in English. Then. It's painful, I know, but inshallah, it's pasina is good. No pain, no gain.
Look at the first one, the one I did. The answer is right.
So you
So look, translated was Azar. What is this word? Azar did what? Worship. This means these idols. So where's the subject? Is idols now the subject or the
idol is the object.
object? So it cannot be then the. It cannot be what? If it's the object, it cannot be the
Subject.
right.
Yeah.
So it cannot be the fa'il, the subject, right?
Yes.
So where is the fa'il?
Hazihi.
No, that means this. This, all this is the object. These idols. You can't say these. So where is the subject, Ali Bhai? No, it's in here. The huwa. You have to take a huwa out. Remember, I'll say it again. Verbs are in conjugation. They're attached to he, they, you. So fa'ala, he did. Fa'alu, one word, they did. Fa'alta, you did. All one word. Here, this is the present tense, ya'budu. So the huwa is inside of it. If it's not in front of it, then it's inside of it. Okay? So there we have here is the fi'l, the fa'il, the huwa, and the maf'ul bihi is hazil asnam. Okay. Very last thing, then inshallah we'll pray for Maghrib. Abdul Rahim. You know what? MashaAllah, Abdul Rahim, it'll be so quick because it'll be fast and finished that literally by the time we just it'll be done. This is your one. وَكَانَ أَزْرُ لَهُ وَلَدٌ رَشِيدٌ جِدًّا.
Mine one is the next.
No. We'll come to that's Amar's. But this one.
Otherwise, I say something.
This one is yours. So, if we were to translate it, kana was, azar, lahu, belongs to him, waladun, boy, rashidun, righteous, rashidun, jiddan, are very righteous. So you could say azar had a very righteous boy. That's how you would translate, but we want to now grammatically analyze it. This is what we're trying to learn here.
What is the first step?
No, it's so now, mashallah, the bear's coming out. It's I got it out. Yeah, this is good. No, for the Ali, what did you want to say? What is the what?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Abdul Rahim.
Okay. So, to me, it's a kana sentence.
Yes.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Notebook band करनी चाहिए.
So yes, this is kind of everyone needs to look
No,
at.
it's from here.
I know.
So nothing on here. I'm not gonna flip.
No, I don't.
You will see. I'm not sure.
No.
So,
Yeah.
a little bit cheating. Azaru is a ism, so it's kana, ism of kana.
Yes. And why does the ism kind of end there? Why not with the lahu?
Lahu to be, it's la,
Huh?
it's a kind of a jar.
Yes. Brilliant. Yes. So it cannot be. So lahu. So how far does this one go?
Go all the way.
Correct. And this third box just is the what? So you've got the kana, you have the,
So ism of kana
And
ism
then-
of kana.
okay. So each the fi'l naqis and the ism kana are in their separate boxes. Now you've got this long box, the khabar kana. So how are you going to divide this one, this khabar of kana? Pray for the answer or as well?
So if we start with lahu, so it's, as I was mentioning, maybe it's a jar. Majroor.
So where's the jar?
So it's la.
Very good.
Yes, and
Is the jar.
the rest is-
MashaAllah, barakallah fi, this is fantastic. Absolutely, the whole thing is majroor. Okay, so la is the jar, then hu waladun rashidun jiddan is the majroor, which is in the state of jar. All right, but it has to worry about itself. So how are you going to break out this one now? Lahu waladun rashidun. What are you going to do here? Hu waladun.
So la is jar and the other.
So how are you going to break this one? This is a little bit tricky. If you can get it, mashallah.
So what was the meaning? The waladan,
Waladun's boy, Rashidun righteous.
So, okay. Sixth mawsuf. So it's, waladan just separating waladan.
Yeah, you said it. I think you, yeah, what did you say?
So I said sitta mawsuf.
Yeah, so where's the mawsuf and where's the sifa? You're right. Where's the mawsuf and the sifa? Very good. So which one is the mawsuf? A mawsuf has to be an ism, right? It has to be a noun.
So waladan is a son or something.
No, you got the who. You haven't done the who.
Oh, who.
So the who is the mawsuf, isn't it?
Yeah,
And the whole other thing, it becomes the sifa. Because the who means him.
Yeah.
And you're describing him as a righteous boy, a very righteous boy. Okay? And in there, internally, you can have another. And so what, you can have another what? Mawsuf and sifa. Okay, and here this is another phrase. I'm not going to go. It's an extension, but basically it just continues on saying, it just clarifies what that is. A very righteous. So here you've got an adjective and an adverb coming together. All right, but that was really good. So yeah, so basically, even if you got rid of wakana azru lahu, so that would be enough. You know, there would belong to him. It belongs to him a righteous boy. Okay.
So who is ism actually?
Yes.
And then the rest is
Yeah.
isn't it waladun mawsuf and then hu mawsuf as well, rather than waladun rashidun, rashidun jiddan is all is like a
So waladun rashidun is a mawsul sifa.
yes. So which one is the main mawsuf? Is it hu or is it walad?
So here, let's go through the translation. So Azar, there was Azar belonged to him, a righteous boy.
So waladu is boy.
Yes. And Rashidun is righteous, so it's a righteous boy. Okay. Anyway, let's not get too caught up, but that's the idea, yeah? So that you've broken it down. But the key message I want to is just let's not get too into it. Kana, ism of kana, khabar of kana, and a mawsuf and sifa relationship. That's what we've been learning. And the very, very last is just a two-word. is the one of the reason I let this one be yours, Anna, because you asked me a question in the previous page, and this answers it. That's
so
why.
This is mudaf alay, because waladu azara is waladu because it is, there is no tanween and there is no al, so it is mawsuf.
Yeah.
And mudaf, and then azara because it is a non-Arabic name, so it's in the state of jar. State of nasab. No state of jar, but with the nasab on, with the fatah.
So these are what we call in English change restricted or غير munsarif in Arabic, meaning that isms which are munsarif always express the different ones. So they have a dhamma for rafa, they have a fatah for nasab, and they have a kasra for jar. Some isms are change restricted, meaning that they only have a dhamma for rafa, a fatha for nasab, and a fatha for jar. This is an example, because we would expect in the mudaf mudaf ilay that this should actually have a kasra. Okay, and more importantly, it should have a kasra thing. Because if you took waladu and put it with zaydun, okay, it'd be waladu Zaydin, because Zayd expresses fully, it's munsarif, whereas Azar is غير munsarif. Yeah? So it would be waladu Zaydin. Here, it's got waladu Zayda. So and these restricted words, one is that it has a fatha in the jar, but also it doesn't express tanween. And what we said, I'm still not out of this one, what were the three examples of what, commonly which are of these change restricted isms?
In verbs?
Foreign names?
Yeah.
I thought that was one.
Yeah.
And
If I put
in verbs? I thought there was
female names,
No.
and other either
adjectives, and we'll come across it. But the key ones is that for what we will easily remember is foreign names and a lot of the female names. So you could say like for Fatima, you wouldn't have Fatimatin, Fatimata. Yeah, but we'll go into more of that later. But that's just to appreciate it. I think we'll call it a day. This was more of a consolidation, revising thing. Inshallah, but I think inshallah we've all woken up and then we'll cover some more newer topics inshallah next week. Subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.